According to the Oxford Dictionary, a dimension is a measurable extent of some kind, such as length, breadth, depth, or height. We all know the standard visible dimensions, such as 2D or 3D. What about the dimensions we can't see? How many are there, and what do they do?
Today we'll be talking about different dimensional theories and some of the dimensions. Dimensional theory has been evolving over 100 years now. Even after all this time, there is still no known right answer to the number and scope of dimensions.
One of the first well-known theories is the Kaluza-Klein theory, which states that there are 5 dimensions. This was an expansion of Einstein's theory of relativity, though it has now been proven to be wrong.
In present day, we have string theory. Original string theory stated there are 10 dimensions. According to string theory, the universe is made up of tiny strings, smaller than subatomic molecules, that have length but no width or height. These strings are constantly vibrating, and the frequency at which they vibrate determines the shape and dimension they are in.
String theory then evolved into supersymmetric string theory, also called superstring theory. Superstring theory is very similar to string theory, but added is that all of the vibrating strings have an identical counterpart that vibrates in sync. According to superstring theory, there are 26 dimensions, though some scientists argue that there are an infinite number of dimensions.
Finally, the current/newest hypothesis is M theory, which stands for membrane theory or mother of all strings theory, depending on who you're talking to. M theory is an attempt to reconcile the different types of string theories and states that there are 11 dimensions.
In current times, studying dimensions is acceptable for theoretical physicists. However, early theories were ignored or ridiculed by the scientific community. In the very earliest 20th century, a philosopher named P.D. Apensky came up with the theory of 6 dimensions. His idea was largely ignored at the time and was not widely accepted. However, though current scientific thought believes that there are more than these 6 dimensions, these 6 are still a part of other dimensional hypotheses over 100 years later. We are now going to present the first 6 dimensions. The first dimension is length, but no width or depth. An example of this is a line.
The second dimension is length and width. An example of this is a square.
The third dimension is the one we live in and see. It is length, width, and depth. An example of this is a cube.
After the first 3 dimensions of space comes the dimensions of time. The fourth dimension is time. It moves in 2 directions, forward and backward, but humans can only move in one.
The fifth dimension is known as probability space. It is all possible choices that someone could make. For example, you have a choice to go study for a test or go out with friends. Both of these paths together would make up the 5th dimension. A good way to understand this dimension would be to equate it to opportunity costs in economics.
The 6th dimension is the expansion of the 5th dimension. It consists of all possible paths that could be taken by someone in the past, as well as all possible paths that could be taken by someone in the future. It also includes paths that have not happened. For example, the 6th dimension includes a path where the dinosaurs were never wiped out and humans never existed. Think of it as a 3D space within time. It includes all past, present, and future life paths. The idea of alternate dimensions comes from the 6th dimension. Theoretically, you could travel from this dimension where you are now to a dimension where you won the lottery when you were 5.
Hopefully in the near future, scientists will discover exactly what the universe consists of.
The possibilities of this knowledge could enable humans to travel through time or travel long distances through space.
Perhaps in the future, science fiction will no longer be fiction.